Once upon a time, there was a coconut. And this coconut was stubborn.
Oh.
Yeah. He didn't want to fall off the tree.
No.
Nah. Doesn't matter how much the tree workers shook the tree. That coconut hung on for dear life. Part 1.
Okay.
So, one day the coconut said, "I'm getting kind of bored up here. And a lot of my buddies have left. So, I think I'm going to leave the tree too. And I'm going to go explore." So the coconut made a plan to get off the tree by himself. He didn't want the tree workers to make him get off the tree. So instead, he shook himself free, and then he didn't have another plan but to fall. And he fell. Well, he was stubborn and hard-headed that nothing happened to him except he got really scared as he was falling and almost lost his breath. He almost stopped breathing, but then, the other thing was he fell on sand. So,
That was good.
then he said, after his headache went away, he started rolling off and exploring. And he saw a bunch of feet walking by. And he said, "Ooh, some of these feet, they don't smell good. Oof, 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 oof." And he kept rolling, and he said, I need a break. This is too much, too many feet. So he went back to the sand. But then it was really hot, and he said, "Oh my gosh." So that's what it's like to have the sun on you. Because when he was up on the tree, he was covered by palm branches. And he never really knew what it was like to bake in the sun. But this time he ended up on the beach because he didn't want to smell any more feet while he was walking. So, part 2.
Part 3.
So then, he threw a fart. And anyhow, he said, "I need to get away from this heat." So he rolled and rolled, and then he saw some people, and there was water coming out of some area up on top, and these people were wetting themselves. So he thought, "I need some of that water." So he went over there where the people were, and the people were taking outside showers. So then he made his way to one of the showers that wasn't being used, and he couldn't figure out how to get the water going. Part 3.
Part 4.
So then he rolled and tried to mix in with the people that were taking showers, and they were looking at him and they said, "This is kind of strange. Did that coconut just move around here? And where did it come from?" And so they noticed him, and they started backing off because they saw the coconut moving. And the coconut said, yeah, that's cool. I can get some water now. So the coconut got really wet. Then he noticed that all these eyes were on him, and that these people were staring. He said, "It's just kind of weird." So he just moseyed on out of there. And he started heading into the city. And more feet. And now there was dogs. And he saw a few cats. And he thought, this is just different. Then he heard some music coming from a bar. So he liked the sound of the music. He went to the bar and he parked himself somewhere where nobody could see him. But he was listening to the music. Part 5. So then he must have been there like 4 hours. But you gotta remember, he was a coconut and he never been anywhere. And he wasn't hungry, and he wasn't bored because he never been anywhere. So he just listened to all this music and he was just chilling. Then all of a sudden, some lady saw him and said, "Oh, what a pretty coconut." And so she went to go grab him. And he moved real fast out of the way. And the lady tripped and fell because she couldn't get the coconut. So he took off and said, "Well, that was fun. I gotta go now." So he took off down the alley. And then he heard a bunch of dogs barking. Part 6. And he thought, I heard that noise before, but it sounds so loud. Because he was like by the dogs, as opposed to up like 75 feet in the air. So he just cruised through the alley, and then he noticed that he was on the other side of that beachfront area. And then he went to the other side, and there was more water on the other side. And there was boats, people fishing, and a lot of chatter. And then he smelled coffee,
Oh.
and he thought, whoa, that smells good. Ah. So he followed the smell of the coffee. Part 7.
Part 6.
Then he ended up at a coffee shop, and he noticed people were drinking this black stuff, and some other people were drinking like this tan stuff. And he thought, I want to try that. So he couldn't talk to the humans because they didn't understand coconut. So he tried to figure out a way to get some coffee. And he noticed that people were leaving, or that there was a bunch of coffees left on the counter. And I guess those were people's orders. So he jumped on the counter, and believe it or not, because him being round didn't stop him from being able to grab things. Like he had this magical way of grabbing things and running. And so he grabbed some coffee and ran. Then he went around the corner back in the alley, and you wouldn't believe, but the coconuts, they know how to drink. So he started smelling the coffee, and all his senses went, oh, yum. And then he decided to drink it. And the coconuts, they're fast drinkers. So he drank that coffee. It was hot, but it didn't bother him. He drank it hot. Party. So the coconut really enjoyed the coffee, and he got coffee drunk. And then it affected him way stronger than a human. So he started rolling real fast all over, and he was spinning out of control.